Yeah, what's going on, man? Can you introduce yourself a little bit to us?
Yeah. So my name's Adam. Not sure what you're gonna ask, but I'm 25 years old. I'm from the U.S. I live in Wisconsin. And yeah, I mean, I can tell you what I do for a living, MapleStory, any of that. Depends what you want to know.
Yeah, maybe like just were you born and raised in Wisconsin, or because the reason why I ask is because majority of my audience tend to be Korean or they have some sort of like Korean background. I'm wondering if you are the first guest that's actually full-fledged American.
I think I might be then. Yeah, I don't have any Korean in me. I'm all just kind of
An average
white,
Joe?
average American.
Nice. Okay, Wisconsin, huh?
Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
I was born here, but I've moved around to a bunch of different states.
Where have you been?
Like all throughout school growing up, I was in like the South, like Georgia, Texas. I've been in Illinois, Minnesota, kind of like in that whole central part of the U.S. I've been, up and down there.
Military kid?
Not me. I mean, my brothers were in the military, but no, not my dad. I think it was just a lot of jobs moving around. He'd get different jobs or get laid off. It was all. People would joke he was like in the CIA or something, but it really wasn't that interesting. It was just jobs.
Okay. Well, that, depending on how it was for you, that can be hard for certain kids because, you make friends in one area and then you have to move, and it can be a little difficult. How was it for you?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I mean, I don't think it was too horrible, but it definitely was just, I think, different from the average kid growing up. You would like meet a couple people, and then there were some states where I was only there for maybe a year, like 1 year of school. So like they would all have their friends that they've known since they were a kid, and I would just kind of pop in and then be out of there. So I would say early on it was kind of hard to get like close friends. I got kind of lucky where once I was in middle school, I stayed at the same middle school for all 3 years. And then I did move, and then I was at the same high school for all 4 years. So at least in those kind of like, I feel like the teenage years are pretty important there. So I was able to kind of keep the same friends for those.
Okay. Yeah, you kind of have a similar story to me. So I'm guessing you still keep in touch with your high school friends?
Yeah, those are like the more recent ones, so for sure. Yeah. And I went to high school in Wisconsin. Like I ended up back here. So luckily where I live now, I'm still nearby all them.
Gotcha. So one of the viewers asking, hey, Adam, is your Discord name Dobak for a reason? Because it means gambling in Korean. That's another reason why I thought you were Korean, because it does mean gambling in Korean. No
way, really? I had no idea. No, it's completely random. It was like some joke as a kid. I was going to class and I was late there, and my friend was saying, where's Adam? And then I don't know what made him think of it, but he decided to call me Mr. Dobak. He said, no, that's Mr. Dobak. I think he got it from a movie or something. Have you seen the movie Step Brothers?
Yes.
Their last name is Dobak in that, but it has like a K.
Oh, really? I didn't know.
So that's not why I picked it. I picked it just from whatever this random friend said, but that's really funny that it means gambling in Korean.
Yeah.
Never heard that yet.
Yeah, it's pronounced Tolpak in Korean, but it means gambling. So I was like, okay, he must be somewhat Korean, maybe like me. But no. Cool, man.
That's great.
Do you play MapleStory at all? Like, what's your relationship with MapleStory?
Yeah, for sure. I guess that's more how I found you. I play it to this day, but I've been playing since I think it would have been 2005. Not nonstop, of course, but like throughout the years, I've always come back to it since then. I might honestly, I think, I guess I don't want to say for sure, but I'm probably one of the younger people that played that far back, because I think all the people, with all the talk about Classic World now, everybody jokes about how they're in their 30s and have a family, but I'm 25, so I would have been like 4 years old when I first got introduced to it.
You would have been pretty young. How did you have siblings? You said you have brothers.
Yeah. So it was through my older brother. I remember it was our neighbor was his friend, and they would go over there, and right when the game came out, I guess. I don't know if they played in the beta, but I know for sure, when it came out in the global version, they were playing it, and it's just some little 4-year-old, and my brother would bring me with to just kind of sit there and watch. So that was like my first introduction, and then, over the years, I would start playing and get introduced to more.
Who's more hooked, or who played more of the game, you or your brother?
He was super hooked. I mean,
really?
At that time, yeah, he's 8 years older than me. So he was more in like the prime age to like really, I guess, commit to the game and try and play long term and get really far in it. So it was definitely him. But now, like currently, I play, and I think he doesn't have time on his hands too, because he has a family, and my nephew's his kids, so he doesn't have time to play anymore, really.
Yeah, if he's 8 years older than you, he's right around that age.
Yeah.
And you still play?
Carried the torch. Yeah, I still play the modern version of it, believe it or not.
Ooh,
I've played all the way from the old one to now.
I see. That's some juicy content content for me that I want to talk about, because I have a lot of questions about modern, and I want to hear, as someone that's actively playing, like your perspective on the game. So for me, when I log into the game, I get a little overwhelmed. I feel like there's too much text to read and so many things to upkeep with. Does it feel like that for you? Or for you, because you slowly progressed with the game as the game was updating, you don't feel that heaviness or overwhelmingness?
Yeah, no, it's interesting. I don't feel that personally, but I see, I can see how from a different perspective it would be overwhelming. I think, like you said, it's because it's not like one day they introduced 400 new features and you had to learn them all. It's evolved over time. So, as you play the game, you learn, oh, here's a new system that I interact with. Here's a new thing that I do weekly. Here's, one at a time. And so you kind of learn them as you go. But I definitely see how it could be overwhelming.
Yeah.
I think the big problem with it today is like the new player experience, because it is still a pretty niche game. I mean, I think they're doing well, but relatively speaking, but if new players join, I think it is really hard for them to get into it.
Yeah. Did you ever play like private servers, Maple Royals, Maple Legends, or were you just a one server type of guy, MapleStory, a global server all the way, like the retail version?
I was always the retail version. Yeah. Last year I think I tried the MapleStory's Worlds, like some of those recreations of the old school on there.
Yeah.
But I had never played any private servers before that.
So, but what's kind of interesting about you is that you actually played though since 2005, 6, 7. These in that time frame before Big Bang, right?
Yes.
And you don't have that nostalgia connected to it like most people do.
I do, actually. So I think that's maybe what's more unique, is I almost like both versions equally.
Oh,
I don't know to rank them, but no, I do have the nostalgia, and I'm really excited for our classic world, which, I don't know if the Korean players will be able to play, but I'm really excited for that to come out. I kind of had just tried out some of those MapleStory Worlds things to get a taste of it.
Yeah.
And then right around then, the classic world got announced, which I never thought they would do. Right. So I'm really excited for that.
Did you get to play the beta?
No, unfortunately. I signed up and I didn't get a key. I had even considered going to the MapleCon, MapleFest.
Yeah.
Where, people all got a ticket for going. Mm-hmm. All the way out in LA, but I thought it would have been a fun trip, but I didn't get a ticket in time for that either.
I thought about
So
going too, but maybe this year I'll go.
Yeah, I heard it wasn't. It didn't go over too well, but
I heard that too.
I think it would have been fun, fun experience.
Yeah. The only reason I would go is because now I make content, and if they have like exclusive things for people that actually attend, I look at it as like, okay, well, I can go in, even if the event is apparently mediocre and not that great. It's still there's still like a reason for me to go, because as a content creator and trying to do something on YouTube, those are the moments that you want to really like one, capture and talk about on YouTube with people. But if they give out early passes and stuff, it's a huge help.
Yeah. Do you ever wish they would you know about like the Bean Brigade, right, that they used to do?
Bean Brigade, what is that?
I don't know if it was a Korean thing too, or if it was just for like global players, but they maybe, I don't know, a handful of years ago, I don't remember, they had the Bean Brigade, they called it, where their content creators, they would be in this kind of network, I guess, and I think they would give them NX. I don't know if they gave them much beyond that, but they at least had some acknowledgement of like the people making content on their game, and they would kind of involve them in some lists and stuff, and they closed it down a couple years ago, I think, without really any explanation.
Huh, interesting. No, I don't think I don't think I've ever heard anything like that before. I tend to be pretty reserved. The reason why I kind of like stay in my own bubble almost. Although I love MapleStory, I've never been like an outdoorsy person. Not to say I don't enjoy it. What it is I just get very, which is kind of funny that I'm doing broadcasting and talking to people every day, but I get very fatigued just being out and talking to people. I like being outside, but I've never been the person. There's two types of people. Like, one person is my wife. My wife, she gets energy just being around more people.
Oh yeah.
And then there's me, who gets drained when I'm around other people.
And you need to recharge alone?
Yeah, so my social battery is very thin and it recharges slow. And I've thought about that. I'm like, why am I like that? I'm sure we all have those moments where we try to like self-analyze. And I've come to the conclusion that it's, up until now, my life experience has left me and molded me into a certain way where I, by default, when I'm in a setting where there's a conversation going on and meeting people, I default into the listening position. And listening is a lot more energy consuming than talking. And if you look at my wife, she's a chat box. She will talk nonstop about whatever, anything at any time. She's a ball of fun and flower, and she's just a ray of sunshine. And she's always fun to be around if you have that same energy. Or if she meets people that also like to talk. I don't like to talk. And two, I kind of default into the listening position when I meet new people. And after about having like 4 conversations with people, I'm just like mentally drained. That's how I get. Because the thing is, a conversation is never entailing things that I find interesting. There isn't very much like common. One thing that, maybe you probably can't relate as much because you were born and raised in the States and you went to different states, but the general consensus of how people think and what the cultural norm is generally the same. Like even football, right? Just taking football, you guys can talk about football and NFL and all that. I didn't have that early on, and even now I still don't know all the rules to football. I don't even know major teams that well. So just kind of the fact that I'm in a setting where I'm not where I can't be myself is what I find, I think, draining. But in settings like this, I love MapleStory. I'm talking to just people about whatever, usually about MapleStory and things that I find interesting. So it's a lot easier. You know what I mean?
No, yeah, that's really actually an interesting thought, because I would say I'd also kind of fall into that where I if I'm mostly if it's in a group setting, if there's a group of people, I am, like you said, that like listening position where I'm just kind of observing. If I'm hanging out one-on-one with someone, I might be more talkative, but I do fall into that listening. But that's an interesting thought, that almost takes more energy than than talking, because you're kind of paying attention to what everybody's saying. You're kind of looking at their emotions and all that. It's like very involved.
Yeah.
I hadn't thought of it that way.
Yeah, and it usually is a lot. It for me, when I'm in a group setting, I have learned to just turn people off. So if they're not directly talking to me, I am either paying attention to my son, or sometimes there's so many times in group setting, like family gathering setting, I would take my keyboard to their place and I would just whip out my keyboard and start playing music, because that was actually a lot easier and more fun. I sound like a terrible person, but man, I'm really not that terrible. Like I'm pretty good. But other than that, I kind of can turn people off. I don't need to worry about what unless they're like directly engaging with me. Then they start talking about things, and I have to, I want to be present and I want to make sure the conversation flows. So that's when the activation triggers to become a listener and pay attention and, allow them to paint a story in my head, or trying to paint a story of what they're telling me actively is what's, for me tiring. But yeah, no, I sound like a terrible person now. But
no, not at all. That's an interesting way of putting it, though. I'm curious. Do you like animals?
I do. I love animals.
Okay. I always hear people joking about, I think, similar people to that, where they joke where when they go to like a big party at somebody's house, they just go straight to looking for the pet, like the dog or the cat, and they go pay attention to that. That sounds kind of like the keyboard thing. Like, I'm occupied, I'm doing something, so you're not looking for conversation, really. That's interesting.
Well, because like in those settings, I am the foreigner. I mean, I don't have family here. It's all of my wife family, and they're all Latinos. They have a very different culture, very different, way they interact with one another. Conversation can be, there can be cultural gaps. You always feel like an outsider. So you can never really 100% let your guard down in those settings, because you haven't built this relationship, a deep, meaningful relationship with anyone other than your wife. And so usually my wife is busy running around talking to people, and then I'll have like very light surface level convos with people, and then when that's done, I'll just get on the keyboard and start playing music for the people. It's like my little own zone where people can come and say hi, but they know not to like hold long convo, and that's what I like.
I mean, music makes sense if you're trying to relate to them and express to them, but if you're so different kind of socially, music is almost a way to kind of bridge that, it sounds like. But that has to be hard, being such a different culture and trying to connect with them. Would you say like you get along well with them? It's just hard to connect? Okay.
No, it's because they love me for who I present myself to be in that setting, which is a very like frat boy energy. Because all of her guy cousins, these guys are relatively like around my age, and if you're still in your 30s and late 20s, a lot of guys, these still go to parties and clubs and they do drugs. And then the older people also like me because they see me as someone that's taking care of their family member, and seems like I'm doing something okay for ourselves, and that then we're having a baby, so older people love us for the baby. But the younger guys, they kind of just, her cousins, guy cousins and stuff, when we get together, they always kind of try to treat me as an innie, and they kind of take me along. But honestly, like I'm there for like 10 minutes, but I'm like, all right guys, I gotta go to the bathroom real quick, or actually I gotta get to my wife, because my social battery runs out. I can't keep up with that facade for too long, because that's never been me. It's just something that I portray myself to be, to kind of lower their guard and lower, just being social, and trying to just kind of fit into the group mindset of narrative, party boys doing drugs, smoking weed and all this stuff, and talking about girls. Just kind of fit in, but it's really not my crowd anymore. It's not who I am. And Obviously for that reason, the social exhaustion definitely kicks in, and I'm like, man, I just want to go home and I just want to game, because that's me. I want to talk about gaming, but these guys are not gamers, right? I'm a super tech nerd gamer in the inside, and these guys are not. So, but yeah,
that's hard.
Well, I wanted to ask you about modern MapleStory. You said you're waiting for both. The max level is still 300, right?
It is still 300, yes.
Do you think reaching level 300 is harder than reaching 200 on, like, even watching me stream playing a level 126 Dark Knight? What do you think is more grindy? Which game would take longer to reach max level?
So, just from opinion, because I obviously don't know the numbers, I think it may be harder to reach 300 today. I don't know that for a fact, though. So, question, when you're farming at these sheep here, right, is this like the best EXP that you could get? Or is this just a place for the drop? Okay.
This for the drop.
Yeah. Because I'm watching this bar go up, and you've been this level for a few days, so I figured that was the case. But without knowing the numbers, I think it's harder to get to 300. But you know.
So, what's your max level on modern?
I've always been kind of behind the curve. Like, I've always been catching up a little bit. Mm-hmm. For a while, it was because I would play on and off, but now I realized I think I just don't sit down and grind the same way. You know, the people who are really far will be maybe 6 to 8 hours a day, every day, you know, and I just don't have that in me.
Yeah.
So I'm only 281. That's my highest. I just got that the other day. I want to get to 285.
So for you at 281, in order to level up one time at your most proficient, at the most efficient training ground, how long does it take you to level up one time? How many hours?
So maybe another thing we could talk about is dailies, but do you mean if I were to just sit there for hours and grind?
That's actually a good point, because there's also like missions and stuff where it can give you EXP, right?
So if I were to sit there, I mean, I'm trying to do the math. It could maybe take, I don't know, upwards of 20 hours maybe. I don't know if that's accurate. No, probably less than that. Maybe someone in chat can correct me, but it takes a decent amount. But for me, I play a lot with just the dailies where, you know, you'll log in, you'll kill a certain number of monsters, and then you get maybe 1% EXP.
Wow.
So it's a lot. So if you do a little grinding and then you do your dailies every day, you know, maybe once every couple of weeks or a few weeks, you're going to get a level. Just so I don't grind very much at a time. What I do know, though, to say that 300 is difficult is I think just from the way the curve goes, it just ramps up so far exponentially at those later levels.
Starting so when, you would say?
I think every 5 levels, it goes up a lot. I think it doubles. So at 290, it's going to double. At 295, it becomes way, way longer to get a level. So you might think you're almost there, but I think you're only, you know, a fraction of the way there. I remember hearing the numbers, but I don't have them right now. But those last few levels take a long, long time.
Yeah, I think my general understanding of the game needs to be revised, because I definitely thought this game was way more grindier. But if it's taking you about, like, let's say, you know, I think that's pretty fair, because 20 hours means 5% per hour, which seems extreme, but some people here get at level 150, 160, they get 5% an hour too at their most, you know, at their efficient training ground. So it probably sounds about right. It's extremely grindy in this server too. I want to say I knew a bishop that was like level 185 at the time, and he was helping me out. And we had a light combo, and I asked him at his level, how much EXP does he get per hour? And I don't know if you know, but you should. I think you would. Bishops have this skill called Genesis. You know that, right?
Yes.
All mages have this like huge AoE skill in old school MapleStory, and other classes don't. And if you have the money, or if somebody's paying you through a leeching program or whatever system, you can spam Genesis, and I would say I'm pretty comfortable saying that they're mages with their AoE skills. You earn EXP at the highest and the fastest rate compared to the other adventurer classes. So even these guys at level 185 spamming Genesis map wide were earning maybe 1% or 2% an hour, he said. So I wonder if it's still more grindier in, like, I wonder how bad it is at level 2, because you said it doubles and it's like exponential. At 298 or 299, how grindy the game is and how long it takes.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I know honestly, I will never get there, but I know that
You're so close though.
That's what you think. I know that's what's confusing about it.
Yeah.
I know when I watch the streamers who are like not 297, I don't see the EXP bar move. You know, they're grinding and it doesn't even move. Like, you see the number go up, but it barely moves. Yeah, it's a little. I think that's one of the misleading parts, is they see, you know, people who don't play it maybe see all these people at 290, 295, and they're kind of the end game. Yeah, Infernal said I'm not close at all. That's very true. They think that's kind of the end game, but I'm really like behind everyone. I mean, I'm barely catching up in terms of like what is the modern content.
I see. So up to level 2, you said 271, right?
281.
281. Up to 281, did you have any... Oh.
What did you get?
Oh, yes. I got K for strength 10%.
Oh,
yes.
Nice. I just looked away. Nice.
I think this cost a lot of money. Let me see real quick.
Yeah, take your time. Congrats.
Thanks, dude. Oh my god, finally. Cape 10% is a big one. I'm like, oh man, it's only 2 mil. It's a piece of crap. It's not a piece of crap, but earring for luck that I got, the other scroll that I got here was 5 milli. So I was expecting this to be at least 7, 8, maybe 10 mil, but 2 mil, it's not bad. Oh yeah, so I was asking you, up to like raising and basically playing your character up to 281, were there any settings where you could group up with people and party? Or because I know towards the end stage of the game they have bosses where people party up together to beat the boss, but up until then, is it just really like how everybody thinks it's a solo grinding game?
So it actually is kind of up to you how you want to play it. So at all the bosses going up until then, you kind of have 2 choices. You could either when you're very weak, you could party up with other weak people and try and struggle to beat the boss almost before before it's easy for you, basically. Or if you don't want to struggle through that, it won't take long to get to the point where you're just strong enough to do it yourself. So you can a lot of people go that route, which is why I think it's called solo so much, because they don't want to learn the boss mechanics and take the time to practice something if it's not even the most current boss in the game. There's new stuff coming out they want to get to. So they just get strong enough to where they can do it themselves. But I would say all the bosses before then, you could struggle with the party if you wanted to.
Yeah, but is there... So,
go ahead, sorry.
My next line of thinking or question that pops up in my head is it... Because people won't do it if it isn't convenient. You know what I mean? People aren't going to go out of their way to find people to party with. And I compare it to Maple Land. It's just a different community and gaming culture, but we use Maple Land. People in Korea use Discord to kind of look for other people to play with, there's a hub where people gather and communicate and like act as a community. Does something like that exist? Let's say I'm level 50 and I just unlocked one of the boss raids, like the normal one, and I want to try it out. How hard is is there a lot of friction from me unlocking something at that level and then finding 3 to 4 people to party with and kind of trying it out together? How easy is that?
I would say yes and no. So technically there's not friction because in the game they have a party recruitment tab where you can click to say, I'm looking to party up for this boss, and people will just join in there. It just gets posted on the list. People open it up and they say, oh, look, I'm also looking for that boss. I'll join your party. So it's easy in that sense to like get people. I would say the main problem with that and why it's not maybe ideal for a lot of people is the people joining that are not going to be, how do I want to say it? They want to just get it done fast. They want you to join if you already know what you're doing, you're strong enough to not hold us back, and I just want to get this done really quick. It's just part of my weeklies. So you only really, if you join that and you don't know what you're doing, it's going to be, people won't be happy with you, you know? So if you're trying to really play with people on a social level and, you know, enjoy the experience with them, you kind of need to be, I would say, in a guild, and you talk to your guild mates and make friends with them.
Yep. That is definitely, I was about to say, guilds probably opened that avenue. But it's just, to me, it's very unfortunate that it isn't by default that prioritizing the experiencing the enjoyment of the game, the fun of the game, by, you know, like having a community like old school MapleStory where efficiency and being strong enough and like having prior knowledge takes priority over actually enjoying the game. And I've thought about that for a while, but I don't think that's a game design. I think that's just a design, intrinsic design in humanity. I think once we get to a certain point where it's not new anymore, it's not something that's been around and established, people just want the most efficient, comfortable way to get things done that they need to get done. So I don't know what the game could really do to combat that.
I agree. I don't know if there's much the game can do, because the more quality of life you add, like you said, that's what people expect now. So now if you make this part of the game easier than every other part of the game that's still kind of hard, they say we want that fixed now. We want that to be easier. And it just keeps on kind of snowballing and everything gets adjusted. I would say, if I can give my opinion, and you don't have to agree, nobody has to, kind of like Infernal is saying in the chat there, I think the main difference with it is there is still, the struggle with parties. There is still the social aspect, just in a different way, of course. But there is still, some of the same aspects, but it's much later in the game. It's after you've grinded for a long time. You've learned the mechanics. You know what you're doing, and you kind of are on the same level as those people. So it gets pushed back very far. And I think what happens is, an old school Mapler who maybe says, I want to try playing the game again, and they try to log on to the modern version, you're not going to be there right away, right? You're going to spawn in, and nobody's there with you because they're all playing the recent stuff. I do think this is a problem. But, nobody is there. So all you see when you log in is, okay, I level super fast, everything is easy, and there's nobody to talk to, right? I mean, right. I see people saying that all the time, and you can't really blame them for thinking that. It's just, I think it's all there, and it's just pushed much later.
I see. As the game ages, it's like an inevitable thing that happens, because they have to push out content for the people that are actually active and enjoying the game. not actually, but the people that can pour a lot more time into it compared to those who take it a lot slower. And I'm sure their mindset was, well, more content the better, without realizing that it actually creates a really big gap, like you said, with the players that have been playing for 10 plus years and they're all the way at 280, 290, enjoying the freshest content that's coming out. And because the game's been around for so long, and I remember MapleStory actually trying to do something about this with like revamp programs, or like an expedited program where you can get through certain levels really quick. But I think it just, that alone makes the game feel more arcadish to newer people like me coming in, because all they're doing is just throwing EXP at your face and trying to get you caught up to where the game is actually at. And that entire ride of just flying through level 1 from 100, expediting all the content with and just overwhelming amount of information coming at your face is what really turns a lot of people off. It's very overwhelming when you just hit a monster and you level up, and then when you level up it does this explosion and kills half the map again, and then you get like 20% EXP, and it just non-stop leveling up. You don't need, I remember playing, I didn't even have time to read the skills. I dumped all my skills into the spells, because the skills got really complicated. They're long. Their texts are long compared to what I'm used to. I'm used to this. Look, that's like 3 lines max, 2.5.
Yeah, and it just kind of says hits the monster, basically.
Yes, and damage percentage, how many they're hitting. Yeah. You know, it's very simple, but you go to modern MapleStory, you read the text, there's so many things, and you start to realize it's a combo system. There's like a keystroke combo going on, and you're trying to learn all that in midst of it, and then all of a sudden a scene triggers, a cinematic scene triggers, because you're about to job advance, and now you're learning about the story of your character that honestly at that point I do not care to know about. So it's a lot, and then you know all these like enhancements and materials, star forges, whatever all these things are, they come all way too quick, and it gets overwhelming very fast. I think that was my experience.
Yeah. No, for sure. I think it is just a hard thing for them to really change that at this point. I think they're trying right now to catch people up. It seems to be kind of the theme of the recent updates. They want, they're making new content. They have to make it for the later levels, because nobody's going to spend time in the early ones for something new. And so they're trying to catch people up to where people are right now, but I don't think it fully, it does kind of just give you the EXP, and that's about it. Like, I don't think it fully introduces you the way it should, because yeah, if you were to join on the next major event, right, which will be in the summer, in a couple of weeks, if you join then and create a character, it'll give you, number one, something that will get you to level 200 almost instantly. I mean, it takes like 10 minutes. Okay. Yeah. And during that, it gives you a slight tutorial. Like, it says, here's, you kill monsters to level up. Here's some items that you'll need. Here's some ways to enhance your items. Like, it gives small tutorials, a little bit. And then you're level 200 in 10 minutes, right? And then from there, you will gain 5 levels every time you level up until 260.
Oh, wow.
Yep. Until 260. And do you know what is at 260? I don't know your current knowledge. I'm gonna just use context clues and my brain here to say 5th job advancement. Close. 5th job advancement is at 200, and then now we have 6th job.
Oh, 6th job. Oh,
we have 6 now. Jeez. So at 200, you get 5th job. You get like 4 more skills, and you can enhance those over time as you kind of grind for some items. And then at 260, that's kind of where it drops you off, right? You got 5 levels, you got kind of just jump boosted up to there. So it drops you off at 260. You have 6 job. You get 1 or 2 new skills, and then you can enhance all your other skills. The animation changes, they get stronger, all these things. Mm-hmm. It makes you a lot stronger, but that's it's a long grind then to keep enhancing them. So I think that's just where it's hard, is it's trying to catch you up. That's what it seems like they want to do. But I think what happens with a lot of people, if they just came back and they don't know what to do, they just get dropped off there. And then they're like, okay, well, what did I just do? I just got handed a bunch of stuff, and now, what's the point in this?
Yeah.
And I think if you keep playing from there and you try to learn the new systems, learn the new bosses, I think it can be fun. I do think a lot of people could be persuaded, but it's just, how does the game get them there?
People need to give it a chance too, I think.
Yeah. They have to get, what did you say?
People need to give the game a chance.
Yeah, sure. and you can't really blame anyone, if they don't enjoy that first initial experience of the game. That's where it needs to catch you. So I would love it if people gave it a chance, but you can't really blame them if they're not hooked on that and they don't enjoy that first part. What's gonna, just play for another year of doing dailies and you'll be enjoying it, Like, nobody's gonna do that.
Yep. And you think when MapleStory Classic comes out, do you think more players are going to play Classic, or do you think there's going to be more players playing Retail?
I hope that Classic will be a good way to get new players. I know it'll obviously bring back the people who haven't played since the old days, but I hope that it's a way to bring back new players because it's so simple and there's nothing to learn with it really. You start and you just kind of know how to play because you go and attack something and you learn it kind of naturally. So I hope that's a way to get new ones. I don't know if a large portion of modern players, the ones who really like modern and really, really have played it for a while, I don't know if a large amount of them will switch because I think it's too... again, they're too overloaded and they have too much quality of life and they're too used to the way it is. I don't know if it'll be fun for them to go back and not be able to hit something, not be able, killing one thing at a time.
Yeah.
I think some of them will, but I don't know if it'll take a big chunk out of the players.
We actually have a specific term for that in Korean. They call it jik. I learned this too recently. They call it 찍먹, which is a abbreviation for 찍어 먹다, and that just means trying things out, kind of. 찍먹인가? It just means kind of like trying something but not fully devoting or committing. Kind of like, I'm gonna check it out, but probably dip. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That sentiment.
Yeah. That's pretty accurate. Yeah, because you kind of have to fully commit if you want it to be enjoyable, and that's just not realistic.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, I was gonna go on to the next section of the questioning or next section of the topic, but if you have more things to say about old school or modern, if there's anything like I really want to talk about this, we can talk about that.
No, I guess the one other thing is just that I do think the bosses, because a lot of it I'm saying it's kind of good but kind of not bad, or kind of bad. I do think that the bossing is really fun, and that's why it's a little bummer. I kind of wish more people could try that out without having to grind to get to that point, because all the mechanics that the bosses have and learning your own skills and how to do the most damage, in my opinion, compared to Classic, which I was so young, I was never able to fight any bosses really before the Big Bang. You would kind of just sit there holding a button down, it seemed like. Yep. And sometimes you'd have to use an all cure, and that was like about it. Compared with today, I just think it's super rewarding to go into a boss the first time. You get wiped out, it's way too hard, and then you kind of learn, you keep on trying, and then by the time you're actually able to beat that boss and you've been trying so hard, I think it's super rewarding. So that's, I guess, my last little selling point, if I want to call it that, is I think that part of the game, there are a lot of negatives, but I think they do a very good job at that today.
Yeah. Well, you said you like both, so...
I like both, yeah.
Yeah. See, I would say... So I would kind of, because that's kind of really interesting, and I, as someone who talk about old school MapleStory and the new MapleStory a lot on my channel, and the reason why I avoid new MapleStory, or the modern retail MapleStory, I think the difference, I completely agree with you that in a raid setting in an old school MapleStory, you're usually holding down one weapon and drinking all cures, and it's really a tank and spank. Not a lot of mechanics involved. Now, as you go into Horntail and Pink Bean, there is some strategy or things that you have to know, but it's very simple compared to modern. Now, what makes it exciting though is if it's just like retail WoW and old school WoW, like classic WoW, it's the same thing. What I think people like me and the people that played old school type of games, WoW or MapleStory, the reason why raids were so fun is because usually you went with a group of 20 to 30 people all at once. And that sense of community is what people really yearn for. Now, we can dig a little deeper, and at the deep root, I always say that retail MapleStory and old school MapleStory are two different things. They might look similar, but I think old school MapleStory doesn't qualify as a game in today's gaming standards. It's way too dull, bland. It's more like kind of like playing an avatar version of yourself in a digital realm, and you're like playing Facebook, digital version of Facebook, where you're talking to people in a community in its own marketplace. So I think old school MapleStory resembles that a lot more than your traditional gaming in today's standard. So if you look at like modern MapleStory, it's very much arcade-ish, a lot of dopamine releasing, instant gratification. Although leveling is slow, you're constantly getting hit with dopamine through the skill effects, and you're constantly consuming that. Whereas this game, it's like, even in the setting right now, I'm in a party with someone above me, and in many party settings, if you watched the clips of people playing closed beta of Classic, they all are in a party setting and they're constantly communicating and talking about whatever. It doesn't really have to, it's a very lax setting. It doesn't have to be about the boss content you're supposed to do. And you and I talked about this earlier, is that how can we find people that are trying to enjoy the gaming experience differently than those who are constantly seeking for that high chase, the next high of getting the highest damage or the best item. So in old school MapleStory, when we went to a raid, it was boring, but the sense of community and the camaraderie was very much there with your guild members, and you had a guild leader who was making the calls. So it felt like it's just a video game, but in the moment it felt like you were doing something a lot more than just playing a video game with the people that you leveled up together. And that feeling just doesn't exist in today's MMO. And I think that's probably the biggest reason why people want to come back to Classic, is the community aspect. And if we just look at that, then it's a completely two different game. One is an actual video game where you're constantly getting entertainment and enjoyment and like feeling good. The other one is more of just kind of online digital realm where you can socialize with one another while having the bigger picture, I guess, bigger goal to all collectively run towards. It kind of puts people in the same space where like there's a common theme, common goal to achieve. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, you form a real connection for sure. I could see that being rewarding. It almost, in a gameplay sense, you made me think of, it kind of sounds like have you ever played Animal Crossing?
I have. Very little.
So I remember, I remember 2020, it was very big when they made the new Animal Crossing. Very popular with a lot of people, but I know there were some people, which I would almost think of as like the modern MapleStory equivalent, where they looked at it and they just thought, like, this is a game. Like, you're just walking around and, trying to upgrade you're just walking around on an island, though. That there's not a lot going on, basically. It kind of sounds similar to me. That just made me
No,
think
I 100% agree. But those people, yeah, I remember that. Because to me, I felt the same way. I was playing the game and I couldn't get into it. I couldn't see the charm. I kind of get
so
that.
it's not about the gameplay, but it's like how it makes you feel, kind of.
Yeah, and whether a lot of people won't talk about it, and I completely get why, but people usually don't admit when they're lonely. They try to hide that, and I do think when I'm a big statistics guy, because there's so many narratives around the world, left and right, and up and down, and bad and good. I like to look at statistics to get my information, to find at least a glimpse of truth. And apparently it's saying that a lot of males are getting lonely over the years. And I do believe that's true. And I could go into it I could talk about it for hours, but I won't. But I think that has somewhat to do with people yearning and people wanting to play MMO and wanting to belong in some, at least somewhat of a community, and have that community feeling. That's my assumption. I don't know if it's true, but stats do say that loneliness is getting worse over the years. Kind of sad.
Yeah, no, I think that's very true. I think you're right. I think things like MMOs can definitely provide that sense of community and sharing.
All right, Dobak, I want to ask you, because it's already kind of getting pretty late.
Yes.
We've been on the call for a while. My last question that I ask everyone is, it's not really a question, it's just a request. If you would like to share, you don't have to if you don't want to. If you would like to share things that have been, if there's any worries or if anything that kind of produces anxiety or thoughts that kind of keep you up at night for the past 2 months, and also after that, if there's anything in the future that you're looking forward to, if you are excited about the future for whatever reason, can you tell us both?
Yeah, sure. I guess it hasn't been the last 2 months. It's been more recent, if that still counts. I think in the last, it was last week actually, I had some, I guess they are opportunities, but I guess I had some decisions that I had to make regarding my career. So I work in insurance right now. I'm a trainer at an insurance company. I've been there for like 5 years. I make pretty decent money, I would say. It's nothing, that's gonna, I'm not a millionaire or anything. It's nothing like that, but I make enough where it's comfortable. But I've been there 5 years, and it's kind of, it's repetitive now. I have a hard time with things where there's nothing changing day to day. You have to go to work and you do the same thing you were doing the other day, and there's nothing new and exciting. So anyway, last week I got a call from my brother, who is an engineer, and he works for this company where he told me, there would be a job opportunity that might interest me. And I didn't go to college, so thought, you're an engineer. What am I going to do at your company? And he said it would be in, I guess, CAD drawing. Do you know CAD? It's basically like 2D, 3D modeling for engineering, like architecture.
Yeah. I've heard of it. Yep.
So he said it would be in that. I guess basically the boss there is frustrated with the people he's hired, and he said he's willing to train someone from zero now, is what he said. So that was the first thing. He called me about that, and then I thought, okay, interesting, new opportunity I got to consider if I'm open to. And then my dad called me the next day, and they didn't know. He called me the next day and said that his company, he very recently got into this business, and he said he does like concrete, and he has this new territory that he might have access to for like customers, but he said it would be too much work for him, so he would need help. And he asked me if I am open to it at all, basically. And so I thought, okay, geez, my dad's struggling. He might need help. And then the next day, this is the last one, my boss calls me at work at my current job. Tells me there's a bunch of people moving around positions. I have a new boss, technically. He's above her. And within maybe a few months, who knows, there might be a supervisor position opening up that I could go for. I tried to interview a few years ago and didn't get it. He said, you would probably be next in line for that. So
okay, I see your dilemma here.
Yeah, within a stretch of a few days, I got all these things thrown at me. And I thought, oh, geez. I'm not superstitious, really, but it almost feels like a sign. It's like, okay, that seems like I need to do something different, right?
Right.
If I'm not getting a lot of fulfillment personally out of my job right now, it seems like I should change something up. And I guess that's it. It's just a big decision to make. So now I have a lot of things to consider.
Yeah, I see the dilemma. I mean, it's you said this is in a span of like few weeks, so it hasn't even been that long, really.
Within 3 days, I got all these calls.
From today?
No, yeah, sorry. It was last week. Excuse me, I misunderstood.
Oh,
yes. Okay.
I'm sure you're still thinking very much, but are you leaning into one more than the other?
I've tried to sit down and, think the pros and cons. I think the CAD drawing position sounds interesting to me because that has a lot of, or at least as he explained it, it has a lot of creativity to it. You're problem solving, you're really thinking, you're designing the thing. So, that compared to what I'm doing now, where I just kind of have to teach people how we do stuff at the company, and I kind of do the same thing every time, it sounds a lot more creative. So that one kind of speaks to me in that way. And then...
Wow, look at that. Are you seeing chat?
I'm seeing chat, yeah. That is very...
Yeah. K Viegas he's been a Christian for a long time, so she knows like a lot of stuff from the Bible. She surprises me too in chat.
Yeah, I appreciate that. That is it's inspirational. Can you tell me what one to pick, K Viegas? I'm just kidding. Yeah, it's I think in terms of the work, that one is the most appealing. It's just tough because then I know my dad is struggling with what he's doing right now, so it's like I would not be making much money doing that, but there's that personal feeling to I gotta help out. Somebody who's in need, and then or of course do I go for the one where I'd make the most money and maybe not enjoy it very much, which isn't the ideal choice, but it's how the world is right now. So
yeah, well, I'm sure you'll make the best decision that you can after thinking about it. I mean, only your life situation and circumstances, so yeah. And what about the future? Do you have anything about the future that excites you or that you're looking forward to?
Can it be a small thing? Does it have to be big?
Nope, it could be anything.
I should be moving to a new apartment soon. Haven't picked one out, but I'm looking for something that's a bit more comfortable. I live in kind of an old building right now. I don't have a dishwasher or just like small things like that. It's not very luxurious. So I should be moving to a nicer, more comfortable place. And I stay home a lot, so it's nice to have that place decked out a bit.
For sure. All right, man. Adam, it was, right?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to just because I was going to ask you I didn't know if you cared or if you some people don't want to talk about their position and their job and stuff, but in the title of the video, because you said you work at insurance, can I put Adam from Adam Insurance? What's your actual title? Trainer?
Insurance trainer, yeah.
Insurance trainer in my video title on YouTube. That's fine, right?
Yeah, that's okay. I don't think anybody's finding me from that.
Yeah. All right, Adam. It was nice speaking to you, man. It was fun.
Thank you so much, dude. Yeah, I had a good time. I appreciate you having me.
Yep, and we'll catch up again in the future. I'll remember you.
Yeah, I'd love to, dude.
Okay.
You have a good rest of your day, though. Thanks
You
again.
too. All right, bye now.